Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is truly the game that keeps on giving because every time we think that it can't get worse, it miraculously does. And now a rumor is circulating, leaking not only upcoming DLC characters, but also suggesting live service support could come to an end in early 2025. I have a few things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or through YouTube memberships. Now, of course, Kill the Justice League is one of the worst games that I have played in a very long time. It is definitely making the list, if not winning worst game release of 2024, and there is no way that they could save it at this point. And we've all been talking ever since release and even before release how long it would truly be until they shut the servers down and this game was proven another live service disaster. But now we're actually finding out some potential dates. It says a new leak of supposed information regarding the future of KTJL has not only revealed the alleged identities of the widely panned title's upcoming roster of DLC characters, but also evidence that suggests its live service support may be coming to an end after barely a year of operation. Now, of course, when it comes to live service video games, everyone is always extremely skeptical. Nobody wants to deal with the crappy monetization systems they shove into this game. And Suicide Squad, they marketed as being very different, that, oh, well, yes, there was going to be things like battle passes. They were actually going to be free for everyone. All of the DLC was going to be free, but we determined that that's not wholly truthful, because while it is technically free, they make you grind your life away in order to actually complete anything like the battle pass slash the season pass. You have to grind 1,500 missions or pay up. Same with the Joker DLC. You have to grind through tons of older content in order to actually access him, or swipe your credit card for $10, which they probably thought was a great way to make some money off of people. But all that really did was infuriated the individuals who were promised free DLC, free season passes, and while they are still technically free, and that's how Rocksteady wants you to view it, you still have to grind your life away. Nobody wants to spend extra time in KTJL. But of course, these are rumors. Take them with a grain of salt, but they are being, put out there by a relatively known leaker. It says the latest info surrounding Rocksteady Games' latest title was first raised to the public courtesy of noted scooper Miller Ross, whose track record includes accurately scooping that Nolan North would voice Superman and Jason Isaacs would play Brainiac in KTJL, as well as the cessation of development on Marvel's Avengers ceasing development, and the existence of the Overwatch-inspired Marvel's rival. So they are someone who is definitely, a noted scooper. They definitely have a track record, which is why I'm sitting here talking about this. It says multiple sources at Rocksteady tell me that Kevin Conroy recorded dialogue for Suicide Squad KTJL's post-launch campaign before his passing. This is something that has been circulating for weeks to months. At this point, a lot of people figured that they would try to bring him back in some way in the DLC, probably either make him a DLC character, make the real Batman a DLC character, or something of that sort. So it does appear that that is being leaked by another source. I definitely do believe this one at this point. Honestly, most of this information I believe. It also says Batman returns to Metropolis in the 4th season after being rescued from a medieval-themed Elseworld of supervillain Brainiac's design. It also says season 4 of Suicide Squad KTJL is currently slated to commence in January 2025. The season also brings Deathstroke into the fray as a new playable character, who of course is of two minds about rescuing the man who humiliated him in 2015's Arkham Knight. But what makes all of this even worse is that it sounds like they are planning to completely drop this game. We are hearing that this storyline concludes the game's 5th season, and that they are hoping that basically with each DLC, it is going to reignite interest. But by the end, if that isn't the case, once all of that content concludes, they would be dropping support of the game, which of course would infuriate people. I mean, it should be illegal to have a live service game that requires an online connection and you shut those servers down, because then nobody can play the game. That should not be okay. That should not be some standard industry practice, and it is becoming more and more normal on a daily basis, with all of these companies looking at live service as the future of the video game industry. But judging by the Joker's DLC release, this is not going to work out the way that they were initially hoping, that with each DLC it was going to bring people back, with each edition it was going to spark fan interest. Because if we look at the Joker DLC numbers, they were abysmal. I mean, this game on Steam had only ever peaked at launch at 13,400 players, but the Joker DLC only got them, up to 3,000. Otherwise, it's averaging 250 to 500 players a day, and that's like the very maximum. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like come early 2025, this is going to be another Marvel's Avengers situation where they may leave the servers up for a certain amount of time, but you can't expect the servers to stay up forever. And that also means that they will not be creating or releasing any new content. No developers will be working on it. So if there are bugs and glitches and technical problems, no one will be there to fix it. And overall, if you purchase this game, you're really getting ripped off. And it just does not sound like they want to put the time and effort into the game even now, never mind in a year once all of the DLC has come out. And I've even speculated that they won't even launch all of the DLC, but it sounds more like their timeline has shifted to where they want to pump out the DLC as quickly as possible to just drop this game and move on to a different project. Now, there have been rumors floating around that Rocksteady wants to release an offline play mode at some point, but honestly, I can't imagine them putting the time and the work and the effort into that unless suddenly this game picked up in popularity, and I highly doubt that is going to happen. Many people did not purchase this game because they didn't want to give Rocksteady their money, they didn't want to give Sweet Baby Inc. their money, and the people who did end up purchasing it and playing it were extremely disappointed by it. Look over here on the Metacritic page. I mean, a 3.6 user score is just terrible for them, especially when you look at the other Arkhamverse title scores. They were amazing. The other Arkhamverse games were masterpieces compared to this. And of course, even though Arkham Knight was a more controversial game in the series, it was still a heck of a lot better than this. A 3.6 is honestly even generous, at least in my opinion. I gave this game like a 2.5 to a 3 maximum, and that is if I am being generous. It is just not a good experience, and it honestly isn't even a game that you should buy if it's $20 or $15. Honestly, $5 is the most amount of money I would pay for this. Never mind Rocksteady having the audacity to try to sell you DLC characters and all of these extra unlocks that just are not worth it, especially when the base game isn't even worth the price. So right now, it sounds like they do not plan to support Suicide Squad KTJL in the long run. I mean, of course, that doesn't sound surprising given its absolute failure at release, but it is still disappointing to hear for the people who purchased it, expected to, always have a copy of this in their library. And this is a problem with live service games, is if you fall in love with a game like this and in 10 years you want to play it again, it's most likely that the servers will no longer be up, and then your copy of the game will be completely dead, unless again they do create an offline play mode, and that is the rumor for Rocksteady right now, but I just don't see them putting in that effort. But if there's any other information that is released, any other leaks that release regarding this topic, I will be covering them, but for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed this, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.